In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the upcoming colder pattern as we enter into the end of December, into the beginning of January, and multiple major snowstorm threats on the way. Real quickly, let's talk about my consulting company, Prestige Weather. We're closing out an amazing year with so many happy customers. If you're looking for more than the generic hourly or daily forecast that can be so frustrating and very broad, look no further than Prestige Weather. We help out individuals and businesses alike. If you're an individual looking for better, more accurate, and direct weather information, be sure to subscribe to our standard package. That's only $4.99 a month. You get early access to direct weather, seasonal, and monthly forecasts, also weekly one-on-one calls with us talking about the weather, and regional forecasts cater to your area. If you're a business, organization, or event manager, be sure to email us at prestigeweather@gmail.com or use the sign-up sheet on our website business section. We would love to work with you. We've been helping out so many businesses, organizations, and events just like yours plan for the weather ahead. We offer consulting calls, texts, and emails catered to your exact location of need. We will be on standby during your job or event and give you updates from start to finish. We also offer long range, medium range, and short range forecasts. We can help with rainfall and snowfall forecasts, plus the timing of onset and ending, which is so important. We pride ourselves on being highly flexible, and we're always willing to deliver on your specific needs. Put a meteorologist in your pocket so you no longer have to guess what the weather will do. Now, before we dive right on into things, I want to let you know that we did upload a second video to the new Direct Weather 2.0 channel, and you can check that out in the pinned comment down below for extra content on the long range pattern and why I think the polar vortex could make an appearance later on in January into February. Be sure to check it out. Let's dive into things, and as we take a look at this upcoming pattern, it's Christmas Day, by the way. I got ahead of myself, so Merry Christmas. I don't know why I forgot to mention that part, but as we move into Boxing Day, because this video is going to be coming out a little bit later, too late to talk about the afternoon of today on Christmas, but Merry Christmas anyway. We do see snowfall throughout the Rockies, lighter, but we do see heavier in the plains here for South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, as we have a weaker low pressure system, but a more impactful system. Goes to show that the strength of the low doesn't always indicate the strength of the impacts. We could see that there is stronger showers making their way up the East Coast here through the Southeast into the Mid-Atlantic for Boxing Day on Tuesday the 26th. But let's just dive right into the 27th. We get a weaker low moving right up into North Carolina, definitely bringing some impacts there with some heavier showers, rainfall, and wind. By the time we're taking a look at Thursday on the 28th, we can see that this low is now a 993 offshore of Boston. So this is definitely a stronger system by the time it moves up there. The upper level kind of jet stream pattern looks something like this. We have a pretty big trough here back in the eastern states, a little bit further towards the central states, but this is going to move its way eastward. It's pretty marginally cold, so it's not bringing Arctic air by any means, but it's certainly a bit colder than normal, and it is going to feel a lot cooler than Christmas Eve into Christmas Day and even Boxing Day felt, as it's been very warm along the eastern states. That's going to change in a big way here. By Friday the 29th, we actually do see mixed rain and snow showers along this trough in the eastern states. That gives you somewhat of insight into how cold it'll be. Let's keep going, though, because we have colder air on the way. As we move towards the 30th, we can see that there is a lot of Arctic air set up here over Canada, and it's trying to dive its way in. We see that there's also some Arctic air here in the northeast, matched up with a 988 millibar low pressure center. Almost let this one sneak by me, but it starts as 1003 over New York on the morning of the 29th, moves offshore and quickly lowers to a 998 there near Cape Cod, and it's now bringing snowfall to New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine in the form of light to moderate snowfall, and that continues to weaken down to a 992, still bringing snowfall now to New York, Pennsylvania, even as far southward as West Virginia, North Carolina, and Tennessee. We see parts of New Jersey, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Maine, and Vermont seeing some of that snowfall as well. It dives all the way down to a 988 millibar low pressure center, bringing heavy snowfall now to the state of Maine, eventually coming to an end as a more massive trough moves in for early January. Here's Monday on January 1st. We see a storm system moving along the deeper south and southeast right as we have the jet stream primed with cold air up the southeast coast. Definitely missed out with it on this one as it just slides a little bit too far south. This is called the low being suppressed. But definitely there's a lot of potential for this one to move in a more snowy direction for the coasts here and really for the southeast into the mid-Atlantic in general around the first through the third time frame. Just doesn't happen on this model run, but it does tend to fluctuate. As we move towards the third here, we see another massive cold air mass moving southward, another low lining up in the Gulf. Perfect position for a snowstorm, and we do see that beginning here at the end of the model run. We don't get it to actually happen because we get to the end of the model run before it does, but it's 1,002 here, deep cold air, and it's about to move right in line with it. I would expect that this does end up showing up as a major snowstorm along the eastern states here, and it's already starting to snow here along the eastern states, as you can see. Meanwhile, we have 1,005 also moving onshore to California as they get blanketed with heavy snowfall throughout the Sierra Nevadas and even portions of Oregon and Nevada itself there, with rainy conditions for the lower elevation and more coastal areas. The GFS model, we're going to move past the point of, everything that's a little bit more certain and get to where there's some disagreements. We do see that we get that trough combined with the coastal low here. Again, I think there's a lot of potential for this one to move in a snowier direction as we have very deep cold set up over the southeast and mid-Atlantic here with that storm primed to move in between the first and the third. Definitely some potential there for this one to trend a lot snowier. Just like on the European model, we do get this cold air mass moving in for the third and fourth. We get a storm moving along it. It looks a lot different here though, as you can see. The low sets up more like offshore of New Jersey, and we get more of an interior eastern snowstorm here, starting out in West Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and into New York, eventually moving up into the Northeast and New England. We continue to get these troughs, and you will see in that Direct Weather 2.0 video that I do expect this to continue well into late January and perhaps even into February, so this is going to be something that we need to get used to. But we have this very deep Arctic air mass here in the east with the northern jet moving in like this, a low forming along it, which is a recipe for snowfall. And then we see for states like Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, and even into Tennessee, we have wintry conditions prevailing here. And then as we move it into the southeast on Monday the 8th here, we begin to see a coastal low develop as 1,004 here. Heavy snowfall throughout Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia, West Virginia here, and certainly a pretty major ice storm for the Carolinas and portions of Tennessee and Kentucky there. As we keep going, this becomes a very massive snowstorm. 996 millibar low pressure center offshore of the Outer Banks of North Carolina. We see the mid-Atlantic and southeast really cash in on some heavy snowfall here at the end of the model run, as that coastal nor'easter blankets the area with snowfall and leaves them behind with deep Arctic cold air here in the east. As you can see, frigid temperatures moving in behind the system around the 10th. Now, I don't want you to focus too much on the specifics. I obviously went over what this model was showing, but the specifics aren't as likely to happen as the overall pattern is. And the biggest takeaway from the overall pattern is frequent troughs here is on both the European and GFS model. We saw 3 to perhaps 4 or 5 troughs move in over the next, let's give it 15 days or so. And then probably 2 or 3 major snowstorm threats here at some point during that time frame as well, matching up with those troughs. So certainly a very promising pattern, something that we're going to watch very closely and really looking just overall promising. I think that's the best way to put it. Let's take a look at your GFS Ensemble model real quickly. I want to see what this one has to say as we move further into January and look at the cold, look at the snow. I mean, the jet stream doesn't lie, and we see a massive trough here in the east trending in. We see heavy snowfall throughout the mid-Atlantic and northeast here, according to this, by about the 6th. And we continue to see these lows develop along that cold air mass area. And I can't help but notice that we keep getting this area pinpointed for potential snowfall. It's going to be the mid-Atlantic up through the northeast. We've seen this day after day after day. And certainly now we're seeing the GFS and European model come on board. This is looking very promising for sure. We have the Ensemble support here. This isn't something that's super far-fetched. The upper air pattern supports it. We have these Ensemble models on board, and then the deterministic models are now joining. It's not over yet. It's not a sure thing, but certainly looking more promising every single day, which says a lot. Let's take a look at that European Ensemble model, and I actually have to refresh this one and get us up to date. Here we go. So we can see that as we move into that same portion, we get this very deep cold air, especially around that first through third time frame. And we continue to see trough after trough. This model also indicates around the 3rd and 4th that we get a heavy storm in this area, which is exactly where we saw the GFS put it. And then we get a pretty massive snowstorm along this area if that does occur around that kind of 3rd through 5th time frame. And then look, I mean, we keep the cold, we get another coastal system moving through, this heavier precipitation indicative of most of these Ensemble models showing a low in this area, and definitely would be snowfall for a lot of these areas in here. Let's keep going, and as you can see, I mean, we head towards the 10th, and we get more of these snowy looks, the cold in the east, and then the storminess around spells potential snowfall. So both of these Ensemble models are fully on board with frequent cooldowns here, frequent Arctic blasts in the east, and then also therefore snowfall threats multiple times during that, as we see this southern jet really join in conjunction with that northern jet. Definitely something we're going to keep track of every single day, so be sure to subscribe if you like weather-related content. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.